Hi Gareth, thank you very much for your question. In this video I want to respond to the first part of your question, which is regarding immigrants and training programs and certification programs for our immigrant population. I just want to give you a little bit of background on what's going on with professional certification in Canada. If, for example, I have a dental degree from India or Iran or China, I come here to Canada and suddenly I'm entirely lost because the country doesn't have a centralized planning system for transferring of professional certification and degrees. So the individual institutions and governing bodies for the Law Society, the Dental Society, the Medical Society, they decide what credits and what degrees can be transferred over to their Canadian equivalents, and they decide which degrees and professional certificates can't be. So as a result, the system is all over the place. There's many hurdles for new immigrants to overcome, and it's not centralized, and in a lot of the cases, it's not fair. A new immigrant with a professional degree coming into Canada will most often have to see a consultant, will have to jump through many hurdles, get referred here and there before they even figure out what's going on, and even then, because there is no nationalized standardized system of equivalency, they may not necessarily be certified in Canada. So that's the basis of our problem. Now you mentioned a number of very interesting points. First of all is the fact that we have interprovincial barriers as well. That if I'm certified, say as a lawyer in Ontario, I can't go practice in Alberta without writing the bar there. And I believe that's actually not a good thing. I believe we should break down interprovincial barriers along with international barriers. A law degree, a medical degree, to a large extent is the same degree. But professional regulation has made it so that it's more difficult for people to have that kind of mobility. That's a way for people with power to maintain that power. For small groups of people to maintain an elite circle around which their professional degrees may be protected. We need to open that up to more people. We need to open it up to free market competition so that these professional people can advance, so that more stimulated ideas may enter and be injected into the system that we have now. The other thing that you mentioned is who's going to pay for all of this? Who's going to pay for the language programs? Who's going to pay for the systems and the administration to help the certification and to maintain the certification of foreign credentialed individuals? And the answer is, well, we have a $29 billion surplus, and we need to invest in our people. If we invest now, this becomes sustainable over the long run because more people who are professional, who are skilled, become productive citizens in Canada, and their talents are not wasted by driving taxis or selling shoes in retail stores. And as such, we have a more productive citizenry and we have a more productive labor force. And that's good for the country. If we invest millions of dollars now, that's going to pay us back in terms of billions of dollars later. You also mentioned the fact that we don't have enough educators. And I would have to disagree with you. There are some places in Canada where we have a labor shortage. In the West, with the booming oil sands and the booming economy, that may be the case. But it's not the case in Ontario, and it's definitely not the case in the East Coast, where we see a mass exodus of young people, of talented people leaving to find jobs elsewhere. In Ontario, for example, I know many people who have teacher's degrees, who have education degrees, and they can't find work, and they end up going abroad to teach English in places like Japan and South Korea. There is not a labor shortage, there's a labor saturation in cities such as Toronto. So there should be a centralized system where national mobility is enabled. So people and teachers and young students who have education degrees can move over to other provinces where they can teach new immigrants English. And if the dominant language of the place is French, then they should be teaching French as well. This way, new immigrants with professional degrees will be given an incentive to stay in Canada, will be welcome to stay in Canada. And as you mentioned, many immigrants leave. Well, the question is, why do they leave? Maybe it's because they can't find a job here. Maybe because they're not valued. Let's stop that. Let's make sure that our immigrants in Canada are valued. I believe that's what we should do. Thank you very much.